Bagan, a land of over 3,000 temples. But how many of these remain untouched, completely devoid of human footprints? What secrets lie within the ruined, cornered pagodas, places erased from history books, intertwined with curses and ancient prayers? Today, we are going to those desolate temples. Welcome to Evening Chronicles, where we bring you mysterious histories and enigmatic events accompanied by the silence of the late night. Today, among the thousands of pagodas in Bagan, the heart of Myanmar, we will be presenting the stories of 10 hidden pagodas that remain isolated, rarely visited, and buried under the pages of history. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Now, let's journey into the secrets of Bagan together. Taunguni, the resting place of curses and royal power. If you travel towards the southeast of Bagan, slightly past the massive Damayangi temple, the sounds of tourists will gradually fade away. As you walk along small dirt paths swallowed by overgrown vegetation, you will find a colossal brick structure standing majestically in isolation. This is the Taunguni Pagoda, built by Queen Pusaw, one of the most powerful queens in Bagan's history. Though not as crowded as the famous temples, the grandeur, power struggles, and secrets of the 13th century still live on within its brick walls and dark corridors. Taunguni was built in 1253 AD by Queen Pusaw, the chief queen of King Narathihabad. She was an exceptionally wise woman who wielded significant political influence across the reigns of 3 kings. This pagoda is a perfect reflection of her strong will and immense power. When you arrive, a profound silence envelops you. During sunset, the red bricks glow with a golden hue, bringing the aura of ancient Bagan back to life. Aside from the gentle breeze rustling the leaves, this pagoda seems forever submerged in the dreams of the past. Taunguni is a 2-story cave temple facing east. The moment you step inside, the darkness welcomes you. The corridors, receiving very little natural light, deep and enigmatic. The walls once featured exquisite murals, but most have been destroyed by time. Yet, the remaining pigments are a testament to the high artistic standards of the era. The most fascinating features are the secret, narrow staircases leading to the upper floor. Without a flashlight, it is pitch black. But once you reach the top, the panoramic view of Bagan is breathtaking. However, there is a primary reason why locals and tourists rarely visit: the chilling curses inscribed by Queen Pusaw herself. The stone inscription of Queen Pusaw found at Taunguni is highly famous. Not only does it record her donations of land and servants, but it also contains bone-chilling curses aimed at anyone who would destroy her merit. It explicitly states, "May those who destroy or steal this merit of mine suffer in the Avaji hell for thousands of years. Even when a Buddha rises, may they never behold him." Perhaps due to this fierce royal decree, Taunguni has stood firm without major damage for over 800 years, remaining an isolated place protected by ancient words. Today, most tour guides skip this location. Because of the rough roads and the preference for famous temples, Taunguni is left quietly amidst the bushes. But for true history lovers seeking the authentic aura of Bagan, it is a priceless treasure. If you want to experience the quiet, unadulterated essence of history where Queen Pusaw's power and curses still linger, Taunguni is a must-visit. Kyokjiyu Yumin, labyrinthine tunnels and secret meditations. When people think of Bagan, they imagine dusty roads, flat plains, and red brick temples. But at the northernmost edge of Bagan, hidden deep within a steep cliff on the banks of the Irrawaddy River, lies an ancient site that feels completely different from the rest of Bagan. Hidden by a quiet, dense forest and intertwining roots is Kyokjiyu Yumin, a place harboring countless secrets. The path to Kyokjiyu Yumin is unlike regular pilgrimage routes. You must descend a narrow dirt path between cliffs into a thick forest where sunlight barely reaches. Aside from the cool river breeze, falling leaves, and faint bird calls, the place is dead silent. Suddenly, seeing a massive stone wall in this hidden natural enclave feels like stepping into a labyrinth. Unlike most brick temples in Bagan, this structure was magnificently built using massive sandstone blocks. The history of Kyokjiyu Yumin dates back to the 11th century during the reign of King Kyansitha. Legends say that when Kyansitha was fleeing from King Anurata's wrath, he hid within these very caves. Later, King Narapatisithu expanded it grandly. This wasn't just a regular temple, it was the headquarters for Aranyavasi, forest-dwelling, monks to practice deep meditation and study esoteric worldly arts. Isolated from humans and unified with nature, it was the perfect place to enter deep spiritual trances. The most thrilling part of Pyeongju Yumin is its interior tunnels. As you enter, the hot outside air suddenly turns freezing cold. The lightless tunnels pierce deep into the heart of the hill. According to archaeologists, these tunnels stretch for kilometers, and locals believe they secretly connect to other temples in Bagan. The deeper you go, the narrower the paths become, and the colder the air gets. Under a flashlight, the echoes of bats fill the air, and the high-relief sculptures of ancient deities and ogres seem to come alive in the shadows. How did monks meditate in this pitch-black darkness 900 years ago? What lies at the end of these endless tunnels? It remains an unsolved mystery. The stone carvings at the entrance are exceptionally masterful, but they carry a harsh, rugged, and slightly eerie appearance. If you walk into these tunnels alone, listening only to your own footsteps, you might feel the terrifying yet fascinating presence of ancient monks chanting in the dark. If you seek the untamed, mysterious side of Bagan, Pyeongju Yumin awaits you just before dusk. Winnido Pagoda Complex, the struggle between heresy and Dharma. If you cut through the forests far east of Minanthu village, you will find an ancient cluster of pagodas completely off the tourist map. Seldom visited due to rough terrain and thick thorny bushes, this small area holds Bagan's deepest secrets, the Winnido Pagoda Complex. It lacks the grandeur of famous temples, but the moment you step foot here, you are greeted by an inexplicably heavy atmosphere and a chilling silence. The name, Winnido, derives from the Pali word Vinayadhara, meaning monks who strictly observe monastic rules. Built in the late 13th century, historical records suggest it was a dwelling for highly disciplined, pure monks. But here is the fascinating paradox: inside the walls of this supposedly pure sanctuary, the murals are entirely deviant from orthodox Theravada Buddhism and are incredibly bizarre. Why would there be terrifying murals in the dwelling of strict monks? Entering one of the Winnido cave temples, a dark, cold aura wraps around you. Shining a flashlight on the walls reveals wide staring eyes, terrifying ogres, and armed deities. These paintings heavily feature Mahayana or Tantric Buddhist influences. Some historians theorize that this might have been the last refuge of the Ari monks, the esoteric sect King Anurata suppressed, where they secretly continued practicing their dark arts. The figures in the murals seem to move under the flashlight, their piercing eyes watching your every move. The air here feels like the aftermath of a massive, unseen struggle. In this forest, where sunlight barely reaches, was there a silent war between white and black magic, between disciplined monks and the esoteric Ari 700 years ago. Locals claim that if you visit near dusk, you can hear ancient, incomprehensible incantations drifting through the trees, and some have seen dark silhouettes in red robes darting between the ruins. Whether myth or echoing history, this forgotten place is a rare treasure for those who dare to explore the mysterious late Bagan period. Saint Nyt Sisters, Loyalty and Echoing Spirits. South of Myinkaba village, past ruined brick walls and old palm trees, you will find two unique ancient structures standing side by side. They aren't towering like Ananda or Thatbyinnyu, but arriving here instantly fills you with an inexplicable sense of melancholy, deep attachment, and isolation. These are the Saint Nyt Sister pagodas, representing the most affectionate yet puzzling siblings in Bagan's history. The most striking feature is that, despite being sisters, their architectural styles are completely different. The elder sister, Saint Nyt Amma, is a hollow square temple you can enter, while the younger sister, Saint Nyt Nimma, is a solid, bell-shaped stupa that cannot be entered. History suggests they were built by Queen Saint Nyt during King Tiansitha's reign, 11th century, though architects argue the designs look more like 13th century late Bagan era. The elder sister's temple is open and navigable, whereas the younger sister's is a solid mass. Does this imply the younger sister was more secretive, harboring unspoken burdens? Having two drastically different styles side by side is incredibly rare in Bagan. According to local elders, an unseen, powerful connection exists between the two pagodas. Legends say that on moonlit nights, two dark shadows can be seen crossing between the temples. Is the elder meditating inside while the younger circumambulates the stupa outside? If you stand in the empty space between them, the wind creates sounds that resemble two people whispering to each other, or sometimes, softly sobbing. Though physics can explain it as wind passing through brick ruins, the chilling atmosphere makes your blood run cold. Inside the elder sister's temple, the murals have largely faded due to time and vandalism. Yet, the lighting is meticulously engineered. Sunlight enters through the archways at precise angles to illuminate exactly where the Buddha statue once sat, showing their deep mastery of astrology and architecture. Today, the Saint Nyt sisters stand lonely amidst wild grass. During the rainy season, the lush greenery creates a magical, Ghibli-esque scene. But beneath that beauty lies 800 years of sorrow, history, and unsolved sibling mysteries. Abhayadana Temple, hidden love, betrayal, and tantric magic. If you walk into the small forest south of Mayinkaba village during a quiet Bagan evening, you will enter a hidden mini-world completely detached from tourist buses. At the end of a dry leaf-covered dirt path stands a solitary, ancient red brick temple struggling against giant banyan trees and creeping vines. This is the Abhayadana Temple, a place where love, sorrow, loyalty, and chilling occult magic intertwine. Abhayadana was the name of King Kyansitha's beloved queen. According to history, Kyansitha had to flee the palace due to King Anurata's anger. During his exile, he hid in this very spot one night, waiting for Abhayadana to bring him food. But she never arrived at the appointed time. The sheer agony of fearing for his life in a dark forest while anxiously waiting for his lover must have been unbearable. Later, when Kyansitha became king, he built this temple on the exact spot where he hid and waited. That is why the air here is still filled with the aura of longing and sorrow. The exterior looks like a peaceful early Bagan temple. But the moment you step inside, the freezing darkness swallows you. The biggest puzzle lies in its murals. Though orthodox Theravada Buddhism flourished under Anurata, this temple built by Kyansitha contains terrifying Mahayana bodhisattvas, Hindu gods like Shiva and Vishnu, and chilling tantric demonic figures. Under a flashlight, these fanged, wide-eyed, weapon-wielding demons seem alive. Why did a Theravada king commission such terrifying esoteric murals in a temple named after his lover? Was Queen Abhayadana a secret practitioner of tantric arts? Or was Kyansitha paying tribute to unseen occult spirits that protected him during his exile? The lighting inside is incredibly unique. Sunlight pierces through tiny holes, illuminating only fragments of the grayish brick walls and murals. If you walk these corridors alone at dusk, locals say you can hear a faint set of footsteps echoing your own. The coldness radiating from the walls isn't just natural chill, it's the coldness of 900-year-old dying breaths and secret incantations. If you want to experience the true, dark, romantic mystery of Bagan, Abhayadana is a must-visit. Pythonzu, the southern freeze in time. On the road to Minanthu village, far from the old city, you will spot some uniquely shaped structures. Among them is a place mostly ignored by tourists, yet it silently holds one of history's greatest mysteries, Pythonzu, the 3 pagodas, 3 cave temples built as a single interconnected unit. When you arrive here, you won't feel the perfect grandeur of other temples. Instead, you will experience a heart-stopping, eerie sensation that everything here suddenly stopped, freezing in time over 700 years ago. Unlike typical single-shrine Bagan temples, Pythonzu consists of 3 identical temples connected by narrow passages. Why 3? Some historians suggest it represents the Hindu Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, while others believe it ties to a specific Mahayana Buddhist sect. Regardless, a deeper puzzle awaits inside the dark corridors. Entering the easternmost and middle shrines, you will find incredibly detailed, colorful murals covering every inch of the walls. Bodhisattvas, mythical nymphs, and floral motifs display heavy Mahayana and tantric influences. But when you step into the third, westernmost shrine, your heart will skip a beat. The walls are completely blank. Even more chillingly, you can clearly see the rough plaster applied for painting, and the initial sketched outlines drawn by the artists before they suddenly stopped. Why was this magnificent artistic endeavor abruptly halted? Why did the painters drop their brushes? This temple was built in the late 13th century, the final days of the Bagan Empire. Historical records show this coincides exactly with the time the Chinese, Mongol armies were marching to invade Bagan. Stand in the dark third shrine, close your eyes, and imagine the past. Did the artists hear the deafening sounds of soldiers, galloping horses, and screams outside, dropping their brushes and fleeing for their lives? Or did a massive plague stop everything in its tracks? The terror and panic of that exact moment remain frozen forever within these blank walls. If you want to physically feel the sudden halt of time, Pythonzu is an unforgettable experience. Lokatikpan, the living hells and silent curses. Everyone who visits Bagan rushes to the famous Shwezandor Pagoda to catch the sunset. While the crowds gather and camera flashes blind the area, just a few steps north of Shwezandor, hidden among a cluster of trees, sits a small, utterly isolated cave temple. Ignored by the noisy crowds, this deceptively simple temple is named Lokatikpan. But behind its cold brick walls wait some of the most chilling and heart-stopping scenes. Lokatikpan translates to the crown of the world. Built in the early 12th century during King Alongsethu's reign, its tiny, cramped size completely contradicts its grandiose name. Why name such a small temple the crown of the world? Historians believe the intention wasn't physical size, but to achieve the absolute pinnacle of artistic and spiritual expression inside. However, these arts were not beautiful, they were profound and terrifying enough to shake the human soul. Entering through the narrow archway, the hot outside air abruptly turns cold. You are hit with the centuries-old smell of decaying bricks, faint mold, and bak guano. The interior is extremely narrow, allowing very little light, immediately triggering a claustrophobic sensation. In this poorly ventilated space, you hear nothing but your own breathing. But when you shine a flashlight on the walls, the things hiding in the dark suddenly come alive. The main reason people avoid this temple is the incredibly detailed murals of the 8 great hells covering the walls. While other temples depict peaceful Jataka tales, Lokatikpan explicitly details the gruesome torture of sinners. Under the flashlight, the red flames of hell, fanged wardens hacking at sinners, and hellhounds tearing flesh look disturbingly real. Painted primarily in red, black, and ochre, the expressions of agony on the sinners' faces are crystal clear. The ancient artist intentionally designed this to instill the fear of retribution deep into the human psyche. Another unique feature is the inscriptions written side by side in both Old Mon and Old Burmese. While this is an invaluable artifact for historians showing cultural transition, locals say that if you stand alone in this cold, cramped cave, you can hear faint, incomprehensible chanting in ancient tongues echoing from the walls. Are they curses for the sinners, or prayers for salvation? Lokatikpan is Bagan's true, dark side. Nath Long Kyong, the prison of the gods. In the center of Old Bagan, right under the shadow of the towering Thatbyinnyu temple, sits a small, aging red brick structure. Thousands of tourists walk past it daily, their eyes glued to Thatbyinnyu grandeur. But this humble, decaying building is the only remaining Hindu temple in Bagan, bearing a name with a chilling meaning, Nath Long Kyong. Why does this temple stand alone in a land of thousands of Buddhist pagodas? The answer is tied to one of the biggest turning points in Bagan's history. Nath Long Kyong literally translates to the shrine confining the spirits. In the 11th century, King Ananda implemented radical reforms to establish pure Theravada Buddhism. Before this, the people of Bagan heavily worshipped Ari sects, traditional Mahagiri spirits, and Hindu gods. To suppress spirit worship, Ananda supposedly confiscated all the animist and Hindu statues from across the kingdom, piled them into this single building, and locked the doors. Thus, this wasn't a place of worship, it was a prison for the gods. The aura of violently suppressed beliefs remains frozen in the air here. Looking from the outside, the building has bizarrely sunken about a foot into the ground. While experts blame geological changes over centuries, locals whisper that the immense sorrow, anger, and heavy burden of the imprisoned gods caused the earth itself to give way. Inside, you will find a dark central pillar featuring high-relief carvings of Vishnu's 10 avatars. But the most chilling part is that most of these statues have been decapitated, their arms broken, leaving only hollow niches. Shining a light on these faceless, broken deities in the dim corridor evokes an indescribably terrifying sense of isolation. The atmosphere inside is incredibly heavy. Even if the sun shines brightly on Thatbyinnyu outside, everything inside Nath Long Kyong feels gloomy. Entities that once received ultimate devotion were locked away here in the dark for nearly 1,000 years. People sensitive to spiritual energies claim that entering this temple feels like a heavy weight pressing down on their chests. At dusk, legends say you can hear faint sighs or ancient chanting. Is it the wind, or the desperate cries of trapped energies wanting to break free? Nath Long Kyong is a forgotten prison hiding in plain sight. Nampire, tears and sandstone walls of the imprisoned king. Almost every tourist visiting Bagan goes to the Manuha temple in Mayankaba village. But while crowds squeeze through Manuha to see the gigantic Buddha statues, just a few steps to the south sits a unique, dead-silent ancient building that goes entirely unnoticed. This lonely structure holds the most sorrowful tears in history, the Nampire. Unlike most red brick temples in Bagan, Nampire is built with a mix of brick and sandstone. From the outside, it looks less like a temple and more like a heavily fortified prison. Nanpai means palace temple, but its history is deeply tragic. In 1057 AD, King Anurata conquered the Thetan kingdom and brought its king, Manuha, and his royal family back to Bagan as captives. Tradition holds that Nanpai was the exact place where King Manuha was kept under house arrest. Imagine the bleak, agonizing days of a king who lost his kingdom and throne, forced to live as a prisoner in a foreign land. These massive, thick sandstone walls were the barriers that locked away his freedom, silently absorbing his midnight sighs and tears. Because of this, the air inside is still heavy with an endless sense of grief and despair. Entering Nanpai, you feel completely cut off from the outside world. Only a tiny amount of light enters through small perforated stone windows, leaving the interior perpetually dark and cold. The most claustrophobia-inducing feature is the 4 massive sandstone pillars in the center. They are disproportionately large for the building's size, taking up so much space that visitors feel trapped and confined. Experts believe this was an architectural expression of the suffocation and confinement King Manuha felt in his heart. The most thrilling art in Nanpai are the faces of Brahma carved into these massive pillars. Why would a captive Buddhist king carve Hindu gods into his prison? Some legends say Anurata placed these Hindu deities as guards to ensure Manuha couldn't escape. When you look up at these Brahma faces in the dim light, their flawless carving makes them look alive. Their piercing eyes seem to follow you everywhere, their expressions shifting eerily between a smile and sheer hostility. If you visit at dusk, the acoustics of the sandstone bounce your breathing back at you, and locals claim you can hear faint groans or old Mon whispers. Nanpai is an unforgettable, sorrow-filled architectural marvel. Mayan Piagu, the lightless labyrinth guarded by bats. Among the famous ancient pagodas of Bagan, situated right near the main road yet sinking into the earth completely unnoticed, is a massive structure. From the outside, it looks peaceful, sleeping quietly in nature's embrace. But behind its cold brick walls awaits the most confusing, darkest, and most terrifying labyrinth in Bagan, Mayan Piagu, a place that swallows countless secrets. This is the final episode of our Evening Chronicles series on the 10 hidden pagodas, and it will be the ultimate test of your courage. Historical records suggest Mayan Piagu was built in the late 11th century by Anurata or Kyansitha. The path to it is beautiful, covered by large trees and green grass. But this serene view is a deception hiding a massive secret. The structure is incredibly wide, with absolutely no windows for light to enter. Why build such a massive structure intentionally devoid of light and ventilation? Historians believe it was a specialized forest cave for monks to completely sever ties with worldly senses and enter the deepest states of meditation. The moment you step through the entrance, you are cut off from the world. While other caves in Bagan are dark, some faint light usually bleeds in. Mayan Piagu's corridors, however, pitch black. Without a flashlight, you cannot even see your own hand in front of your face. Light simply dies here. The layout isn't a simple circular corridor. The deeper you go, the more the paths twist and turn, forming a complex labyrinth. Take a wrong turn, and finding your way out is incredibly difficult. Was this designed to prevent meditation disturbances, or to hide ancient relics and scriptures from tomb raiders? It remains an unsolved mystery. As you reach the deepest parts, you are hit with cold, damp air and the suffocating smell of bat guano. Mayan Piagu is one of Bagan's largest bat colonies. Shine a light on the ceiling, and you will see tens of thousands of bats hanging like a moving black carpet. In the dead silence, the flapping of their wings echoes off the stone walls, creeping into your ears. The worst part is turning off your flashlight. With absolute blindness, listening to your own breath and the bats, the fear that someone, or something, is watching you from the maze will severely test your sanity. Time stops in this cave. Whether it's noon outside, it is always midnight inside. If you do not suffer from nyctophobia, fear of the dark, or claustrophobia, we invite you to explore the lightless, bat-guarded labyrinth of Mayan Piagu. But beware, make sure you remember your way out. With the story of Mayan Piagu, our Evening Chronicles series on the 10 most isolated and hidden pagodas in Bagan comes to an end. From Queen Puasor's curses at Tonguni and the forest monks of Kyokjiu Yumin, all the way to the lightless labyrinth of Mayan Piagu, the land of Bagan is still filled with countless secrets and mysteries we have yet to uncover. We deeply thank all our viewers for exploring all 10 episodes with us. What other thrilling histories and enigmatic events will we present next? Keep watching Evening Chronicles to find out. May you all have a peaceful night, free of dark secrets.